Welcome to the Geek Easy fellow geeks. Let's pop open a beverage of your choice because today I'm going to be giving you my initial thoughts on Aquaman 2. Just got back from the theater about an hour ago, and I'm sort of still processing my thoughts on it, but I figured I'd get on and let you guys know what I thought. I was hesitant to go because I'd heard, as they say, stuff and things about the movie. You know, all this, so, before it came out and all that, but, my cousin's brother-in-law wanted to go. Needed someone to take him. So my cousin gave me some money and we went. And I have to say it wasn't as bad as I thought, or as bad as I had heard. Of course, this being, a matter of opinion. Let's see. It kind of starts out with a little bit of what's going on at that moment, catching us up with, what had happened between the end of the last movie and this one. And then, of course, a brief recap of what had happened in the past movie. It's kind of Aquaman talking to his new baby. And so Aquaman is now King Arthur of Atlantis. And he is still, he's ruling Atlantis, but he's also living at the lighthouse with his dad and Mira and their new baby. And that's when stuff happens to push the plot forward. Now, on the surface, it was an enjoyable movie. There was really kind of some enjoyable moments. I found myself laughing at parts that were meant to be funny. There were, genuinely funny moments. There was also some really kind of cringe moments in there. And as I was getting through the movie, there was just certain things that made you wonder why. Okay, if he is the king of Atlantis, why is he still living at the lighthouse with his dad? I mean, he's got his wife and daughter there. He's the king. He should be staying in Atlantis. And, I guess they're doing that to show, this is among other things, that he wasn't enjoying being his role as king. He was feeling restricted. There's, the typical politics involved with ruling something, and, that's not his style. That's not his thing. fine. You can do that without, having, it's like, dude, you shouldn't be. And so I found myself with some of the Atlantean council members taking their side on the fact of, why are you not here the whole time? I mean, you've got responsibilities. Stop staying away from here. Stop dividing your attention. So basically, what you and also another problem that I had with the movie is Black Manta is the bad guy again, and that's one thing I do not like about certain sequels, like superheroes. You take the same bad guy that was in the first one and have him be the main bad guy in the second one. I mean, obviously there are exceptions. You take this Star Wars, the original trilogy. That's meant to be, the same bad guy in all three. You have the Lord of the Rings things, same bad guy in all three of those, because that's one singular story. All right. But when you have, say, like Aquaman, who you have, Black Manta in the first one, he's the main bad guy in the first one, and then you come to the second one, different story, but Black Manta being the second, being the main bad guy in this one. It's like, dude, you've got more. Arthur has more bad guys than more. People who are after him than just Black Manta. So get these characters involved. And so he has to go and get his brother to help. And that scene where he goes to get his brother to help is played very humorously while he's getting him. And that leads to another issue of mine, excuse me, for the movie. There is a huge tonal problem with this movie. They play a lot of the movie for laughs. And, I really do like it when they have, certain movies where there's humor in some of these movies. Yes, no problem with that. But then there should be some moments where it shouldn't be played for laughs. And also there is other parts where they get deadly, really serious. So, it's really, really humorous. Boom, dark, humorous, and then humorous when it shouldn't be. Back to this, and it's just, make up your mind. So those are some of the things that really kind of bugged me, and then my don't really want to call him my cousin because he's not my cousin's brother-in-law. He was he had an issue with, it's like, oh, I forgot Amber Heard was in there. And yeah, so that had an issue. And I think cutting her scenes out and stuff, there's a couple things where you're like, wait a minute, what happened here? Where it's like there's a little bit of a jump in things like, maybe there should have been something here or something. So the whole thing with having to redo stuff around Amber Heard, taking some of her stuff out, I think that had something to do that affected the quality of it, and just her presence there was. She didn't have anything to do in the movie. because they want there's DC reacted to pressure or people said we don't want to deal with this shit anymore, and they want to cut her out. They instead of just cutting her out of the role completely, they left her in there for certain parts, and some of those parts they could have dealt with without her being there. And one scene in particular, this isn't really a spoiler. There's a battle between Aquaman and one of the villains where something falls on him, and someone comes to help and get the rock off of him, and it pans up and it's Myrna. But okay, did you see the Flash movie, the last Flash movie where they inserted like Christopher Reeve and George Reeve and a couple other people in there, and it was obvious animation? That was this scene. It was just like, dude, they don't even have the real person in there. It's an obvious animated, or it really wasn't her. And there's like, dude, with it took you out of the moment. Because all the other stuff looked incredible. Except for this one scene, and it was jarring that kind of takes you out of, or took me out of the movie. I don't want to speak for anyone else. So, there's just little things in there that just made the movie. You're just like, okay, what the actual frell? Okay. Overall, I think it was enjoyable. You sit back, you try and forget some of the issues with everything that's going on, and it was a good way to spend the morning. We went to the 9:45 showing, but it wasn't up to anywhere near the quality of the first one, or the quality that it could have been if they'd done it right. I'm gonna have to give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10, maybe. And okay, so then I want to add some stuff in here as to why I think there are some issues with the movie beforehand. All right. Now, I think of it a lot of it is on DC / Warner Brothers and James Gunn. Okay, because if you watch, they had their little plan for the DCEU with Zack Snyder. We all know what happened with him. He had to leave. His daughter died, and so he had to step aside, and then they put Joss Whedon in, and he going from right there. I think that is where a lot of the shit started to go downhill, because he took Joss Whedon. He took Zack Snyder's vision, whatever you thought of Zack Snyder's vision, whether you're a fan of it or not, and he changed it so dramatically that you had the Justice League. It made it a horrible movie. You have the reconstructed lip of Superman. You have the Flash falling on top of Wonder Woman thing that was so awful that Gal Gadot was like, no, I'm not filming it. Uh, you know, just made that movie awful. And people started to lose confidence in the movies. And then they did Wonder Woman 84, which was saying it was dreadful is being polite. Saying that it was a dumpster fire is slandering dumpster fires. And then they decided to keep, to say, all right, these aren't doing well. We're going to reboot everything. We're just going to start all over because the fans, which it's not really the fans' fault. So instead of just saying we're done, they decide to get rid of the fan favorites. They get rid of Henry Cavill, who, as far as I know, most people I've heard loved Henry Cavill as Superman. They decided to get rid of Gal Gadot. Arguably, between her and Linda Carter, how can you not think she's a fantastic Wonder Woman? You get rid of Ben Affleck as Batman. And then they decide to keep Ezra Miller as the Flash. And go ahead with that unbelievably horrid, awful movie. And the fans are like, what? So you're keeping the cool people, and you're getting rid of the cool people, the good people who actually do the job well. You've given good scripts, and then you're keeping this guy. See, let's just set aside for a moment the whole thing with Ezra Miller, and look solely upon his Flash. Okay. One, he doesn't look. He isn't Barry Allen. Even if you're not going to say that he looks like Barry Allen, because you could make that argument with Jason Momoa on Arthur Curry, but he doesn't act a thing like Barry Allen. That is more of a Wally West type of Flash. It may be a combination of other people. So his portrayal of Flash is nothing at all like it. So it shows that people just aren't, the people in charge just don't give a shit as to how things are done. They want to do it their own way. And then we get James Gunn coming in here and saying, okay, we're going to reboot. I'm going to get rid of all these people. And none of this stuff matters anymore. None of it matters anymore. So then we have Black Adam, where they had interference in there. Interference in that, where The Rock wants Henry Cavill to appear as Superman in there, and setting up a Henry Cavill Superman versus Black Adam fight. Then they say, oh, that's not going to happen. You have Shazam, which I haven't seen yet, so I can't really comment on that. And then you're going to have this, people know now that none of these movies matter anymore. So why bother going and seeing them? If they don't matter, who gives a shit? I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother. A lot of people are like, I'm not gonna bother seeing it because it holds no connection to this new set of movies that are supposed to be coming up. And then they say, okay, yeah, we are gonna keep Blue Beetle, the character from Blue Beetle, which was not good. I saw that, and it was not a good movie. So the people that they're keeping movie characters that not many people want to see. Blue Beetle, I know in the comics he's somewhat of a beloved character, but this movie wasn't a good rendition of it. And they're getting rid of the people, they're getting rid of the characters that people want to keep. And then having really low quality movies. So I think that is why a lot of people are just like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm not going to watch these. Because, why? They don't matter anymore. And then they lament as to why nobody's going to see them. Quality was bad. And I did rather enjoy the second Aquaman. But there's no bearing. Oh, okay, let's go back to Aquaman for a second. The Lost Kingdom. They have to finding the Lost Kingdom, getting to the Lost Kingdom. It helps deliver their anti-global warming message in there. Because, they aren't even being subtle about it. It's like, global warming, it's horrible. Again, however you think on that, a lot of people just don't want stuff, taking a bat and beating you over the head with it. You can be, subtle about it, but they aren't doing that with this one. They have to warming these things up to get to this because it's under the Antarctic. And then when you get to it, the only thing I kept thinking of was Mordor. The bad guy was the leader of the Underking of the Lost Kingdom, Sauron. All these things, they look like orcs. The way this thing was designed, it looked. It's like, okay, let's take all these sets that weren't used for Lord of the Rings and transfer them over here. It's like, my God, can you have an original thought? Guess not. All right, but that's just what I'm thinking. Enjoyment wise, it was 7.5 out of 10. It could have been a lot better. It could have, been as good as the first one if they had just done it right. And it doesn't really matter because there's no bearing on, things to come. So anyway, that's what I think. Let me know in the comments below as to what you thought of it, if you saw it. Like, subscribe, and most of all, enjoy your movies.